If you're an attorney in the pursuit of a successful law practice, fulfilling career, and the life of your dreams, this podcast has it all. Behind the Bench gives you great tools to overcome the unique challenges you face every day as a law firm owner. Welcome to Behind the Bench podcast with your host, Josh Konigsberg, author, partner, and co-founder of Law Firm Marketing Pros and lifelong entrepreneur.
Welcome to another captivating episode of Behind the Bench podcast. This is your host, Josh Konigsberg, and as many of you know, I'm a digital marketing expert specialized in helping lawyers generate more qualified leads online, thus enhancing the law firm revenue. Join us as we explore the realm of law, featuring insightful discussions with seasoned lawyers, legal experts, and industry leaders. Thank you today to our sponsor, Law Firm Marketing Pros, where you get more qualified leads, more clients, and more profits. I'm super excited today to introduce our guest, Luis Scott. Luis is owner of 8-Figure Firm, a consulting service company that turns law firms into law businesses. I love that line. He's an author, a speaker, and a host of the podcast Guts and Glory, and former partner and COO of an Atlanta-based PI firm that did multiple 8 figures, 12,000 new cases a year. Luis, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your background in law and the transition over into creating 8-Figure Firm?
Yeah, so I've been in the legal industry for about 20 years, and I started as a receptionist. I always say I was like the American dream. Started as a receptionist, and 15 years later, I was a managing partner of the same firm. And I always tell people, like, stay with it, continue to grow, and you'd be surprised what can happen. But I went through the ranks. I actually came on part-time because one of their bilingual legal assistants was going to London. So I come to work as a receptionist, communicate with the Spanish-speaking clients. I went from there. I did legal assistant. I ended up doing marketing. It was more like a referral marketing where I would go out and meet people and try to get business. And then I went to law school, became an attorney, ultimately became a partner and then a managing partner of that firm. So that was the beginning of my years. I then started a firm that became a 7-figure run rate firm. And then I joined in partnership and we built a multi-8-figure firm. And so for the last 20 years, just been working on building my own firm and now helping other people do the same thing.
Absolutely amazing. I love stories like that. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. So what inspired you to pursue the 8-figure firm model?
Yeah, I mean, so I always wanted to be a speaker. Like, my end game is to be a nationally renowned author and speaker. And so I'm writing a lot. I'm releasing 5 books this year. And I want to get on the speaking circuit and just talk about my story, which I believe is a tragedy to triumph story. Not in a tragic, not in the way, like, I didn't have anybody die, fortunately, in my life, but I went through a lot of heartbreak. I had 8 failed businesses. I've gone through a personal divorce. I've gone through multiple partnership splits. And in the midst of all that, I have risen to become a success. I tell people that 8 years ago, I was completely bankrupt. My house was in foreclosure. My car was being repossessed. I was losing everything I had. And to be a millionaire 8 years later with all the material things that people consider success is really a testament to just persistence and continuing on in the midst of things that are not ideal. And so I always wanted to be a speaker, and I knew to be a speaker, you got to have some sort of credibility. You had to have a business that had already succeeded. Most people have some sort of success story behind their speaking career. And as I was developing that business, I realized there was something missing in the marketplace, and that was a consulting business by an attorney who had done it for attorneys that actually was a proven systematic process for growth. And as I started to think about how could I develop that process, I came up with the 9 Principles of Exponential Growth, which was the original ebook that led me into starting 8-Figure Firm. And that's really the genesis of it. It just came out of like this idea, like, nobody's out here teaching how to actually grow an 8-figure business. What did we do? How can I capture it in writing? And then how can I teach other people to do the same thing?
So good. So amazing. I'm learning something about you today that I didn't know. I love it. That's great. So with eight-figure firm, how long have you been in business? How many employees do you have? How many clients do you have?
Yeah, so we started eight-figure firm in really June of 2020, even though if you look at our business documents, it says February of 2020. But February is when the idea kind of came about. I was in a pool in Puerto Rico, and I was talking to a friend of mine at the time, and we were talking about like, I'm going to help people get to seven figures. He's like, no, let's go to nine figures. And I said, I don't know, that's too aggressive. And so we settled in on eight figures. And I don't even know if that's a true story, but it feels like the right story in my head as we were sipping on a couple of Coronas. And I was like, let's look it up. So we looked it up, and eightfigurefirm.com was available. The trademark had not been used. I knew nobody was using this. I'd never even heard of this concept of developing an eight-figure law firm. And in fact, when I looked it up, only 1 in 667 companies got to 10 million in revenue. So I knew it wasn't a common thing. And so as we were talking about that, the business idea came to be, and I said, we're going to call it eight-figure firm. And the friend, he went and like gave us a little logo, and we developed this logo, which I liked, and I've kept during that time. And so since June of 2020, we've helped almost 150 law firms create some level of predictability in their business. And we have, including VAs, because we have some virtual assistants that are outside of the United States. We have almost 20 people who work for eight-figure firm in a full-time capacity. And then obviously, like most law firms, we have vendors who don't work in a full-time capacity, but do major components of our business. And so it's probably about 25 people currently.
And are there certain markets within law that you'll serve and some that won't, or is any type of law qualified?
We'll take anything. And the thing is that I found that the system works for everything. And so we have firms that are at 10 million in revenue in immigration, family law, personal injury, criminal, estate planning, property damage, like pretty much anything that you can sell a service to, it works. And my favorite story is I have a good friend of mine who is in video production, and he was not a lawyer, but he was a friend of mine. He came to me and said, "Can you consult me?" And I did for a year, and then he took it out, took away the strategies from there. But prior to us working together, the highest he'd ever earned in his business was $50,000. He couldn't figure out how to get it. This year, he's going to do $1 million in revenue, and using the exact same system, he's been able to develop $1 million in revenue. So we have plans to probably expand beyond law, but right now it's like, how do we solidify ourselves as the leading authority in law firm building, and then think about expansion from there.
So is there an ideal client? So I come across law firms that really can't even afford to invest in marketing, at least to the extent that our program can help them. Mm-hmm. So do you have, so any type of law, but is it below 500,000, you're really not ready for you, or 250,000? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, so my perfect client is $1 million in revenue and above, and we have a saying: we can take you from 1 to 10 in 5 years or less. And so, if you're at $1 million, you're at a point where you could probably invest into marketing. I think marketing is a big part of it. That you could invest into coaching without it being a huge financial drain. I'll take somebody at 750. My favorite story: we took somebody from 389 to 1.7 million in 1 year. So it can be done. But here's the thing: if you're not committed to the process, if you're not committed to marketing, whether it's professional marketing through digital media or through grassroots marketing, and you're not committed to accelerating the top of the funnel, which is lead generation and sales and conversions, it's not going to work for you no matter who you hire or when you hire them. But for me, if you're $1 million, I feel like we can do a lot more with you quickly. I'm willing to take somebody as low as 750, and we do have a program for people that are around 500. But you need to come in with an ambitious spirit, because if not, nothing will work for you.
We call it aggressive, growth-minded attorneys.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So do you have a USP, a unique selling proposition?
I think that it's funny because in my book, The King of Growth, I always say the USP is the person. And because two people could have the exact same vision, mission, and values, but if they look different, smell different, taste different, talk different, walk different, that's the USP. For us, it is me. Part of the USP is me, but the other part is that the system was created by a lawyer who actually practiced law for many years and who actually built a law firm. So that's the USP. And now working with 150 law firms in that capacity, we have a lot of stories in multiple practice areas that give us the edge. And I think that what we do is very different than a lot of outfits that exist. A lot of outfits that exist are coaches. They help you reach your conclusion. We consider ourselves consultants. We tell you what you should do. And so that's, for us, is the USP. We've been there, we've done that, and we'll tell you what you need to do. So you don't have to have, go engage in the guessing game. Like, there's no guesswork with us. We'll just tell you what needs to be done.
And I think you're really radically honest. You hit them right between the eyes.
A lot of times what needs to be done is something that they don't want to do. I think that's why you need a coach. It's like my trainer. I don't want to do squats, but guess what? If you want to lose weight, you got to work your legs, So that's right. What a coach and a consultant can really do for you, is they can get you to make the right decision.
What motivates you to win, to be successful?
For me, I developed a personal vision statement in 2018 to lead a life of significance. And I'm not going to say that I'm beyond money. I'm not at that point yet, right? Because there's some goals that I still want. I still want to have my full-time travel to beat private transportation, private jet. And I have some other, goals, maybe to have a much bigger boat than the one that I have now. But I want to be able to commit myself to others without the need of thinking about money in any capacity. Like, that's what motivates me. It's like, when do I get to the point that money is no longer the motivation? And this weekend, when we took 25 people to Puerto Rico for our boardroom, one of the questions was, what do you do when money is no longer a consideration? That was one of the questions, one of the sessions that we had. And it came about because that's what I'm trying to figure out in my life. It's like, what do I do when money's no longer a problem? And if you can commit to that, that's going to help you grow bigger than committing to your business or to making money. And so right now, what motivates me every day is figuring out what's the thing that I do once money's no longer an issue. And I think I have it, which is to become a speaker and an author long-term. That's what I want to do full-time with my life. And that's what motivates me every day. Is like, and I say this as a joke, but it's true. I have 4 kids too, so I have to go out there and make money. That motivates me every day too.
Right, exactly. So, well, on the flip side, what keeps you up at night?
Honestly, I'm a great sleeper. And a long time ago, when you lose everything, your life really changes, and your perspective and your paradigm about life changes, and you start to relax a lot. And I was a lot more uptight, a lot more anxious when I was younger. But today, very few things keep me up, because as I'm learning, I have a mindset coach, and they say, if you finally believe, you really believe, you get to the point where you believe that you can just continue to create and continue to create, there's no reason to ever fear loss. And I think what a lot of people fear is loss. They fear that they're going to lose everything. They're going to lose their house and their car. And because I've already lost that and I still came out triumphantly, it's no longer a fear for me. And now I know I can just do it again and again. And so for me, nothing really keeps me up at night when it comes to business. On the personal realm, I fear not being present enough to enjoy the one life that I have. And so I spend a lot of time trying to craft the life that I want. And my schedule doesn't revolve around work. It revolves around my goals and interests. And so if I want to take a middle of the day walk with my wife, I do that. If I want to have an extended brunch on a Thursday, I do that. I just want to create the life that I want, because I don't want to get to the end of my life and have regrets.
I remember walking into my kids' school in elementary school at lunchtime and watching their face light up to see daddy's going to have lunch with them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the kind of stuff that you can't get back. Right. So, okay. Next question is, what are the key challenges that attorneys are currently facing? Like, what are the most significant challenges, and how do you think they can be addressed?
Attorneys as practitioners or as business owners?
I think business owners is the better way to look at it. Yep.
I think what attorneys are facing is the decline in available attorneys in the marketplace. And so at my last conference, I shared all these stats, and attorney enrollment in law school is actually in a decline. We always talk about how there's so many attorneys and there's so much competition. It's actually not true. There's 1.3 million attorneys, which is a decline of 0.9% over the last 3 years. But to make it worse, only 70% of those attorneys work in private practice. And to make it worse, 55% of those attorneys will be retired in the next 15 years. And so if we don't have enough people replacing them in law schools, we're going to run out of private practice attorneys. And we're already seeing this. with wage inflation. Attorneys coming out of law school used to be able to pay $70,000. Now they're demanding $115,000. They don't know anything. And so I think that's one of the major problems, is that attorneys, business attorneys, entrepreneurial attorneys are not recognizing that the landscape of the lawyers is changing. We no longer can get lawyers at a cheap price. It is a premium to hire a lawyer. So I think that's number one. The second thing is not embracing technology. I think a lot of lawyers are forgetting that lawyers with technology will replace lawyers without technology. And so if we don't get really good about understanding what are the products out there that can help me create more efficiency, we are going to lose ground. And I think the third thing that people are facing is how to acquire the clients of today who have such a limited attention span. And there's not a secret pill. There's a secret formula, but there's not a secret pill. You can't just snap your fingers and get the cases. But there's a secret formula where if you endure and persevere, you will get the cases. And that's why I talk about, our formula for acquiring cases, spend strategy allocation. You have to be clear on how you're going to actually create the halo effect around your client. So I think that would be the three things that are plaguing law firm owners today.
So well said. I couldn't agree with you more. And great stats, by the way. Thanks for sharing that with the audience. Can you think of any specific examples of innovative solutions that have already emerged to address and respond to these challenges?
Yeah. So one of the issues that let's say personal injury firms specifically face is medical records retrieval. And there's software technology out there that can help you enhance the medical records request process. Back when I was running my firm, we used to have, I think, about 8 medical records employees who would request records and follow up continuously. Well, there's a software out there that you can actually send the HIPAA requests for medical records as if it were from the patient themselves instead of from the law firm. Because if you send it from the law firm, they're like, it's a law firm asking for it. In this context, you would get pre-approval from the client using the software. It would send an auto-generated letter from the patient themselves. And under the law, they have to send you the medical records within 30 days if the patient requested, or they could be facing penalties. Well, using that technology, I have seen firms reduce their medical records and billings requests from 60 down to 20 days. Like, that's massive. And eliminating positions. They're using VAs overseas to manage the software process, and they're reducing the amount of medical records down to about 20 days. So that's just one solution that technology and offshore employment has been able to solve.
So that sounds like a great, for lack of a better term, I'll use hack that you might teach at your seminar.
Yeah, so we do a lot of practical skills training at our seminars, not legal skills building. We don't work with lawyers and how to be better lawyers or try cases. All of our seminars are what I call content-rich seminars. So you're going to come out there with your head spinning, because we're going to provide anywhere between 8 and 12 practical solutions that you can implement. Now, I've been told that that's a terrible idea. That's a terrible way to run a conference. The way you should run a conference is pick one thing and go deep and help them implement. And that's what everybody else does. And I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. And so when you come to our conference, you're going to have between 4 and 8 sessions of practical skills. And if you walk away with one skill, we believe you'll earn another $1 million in your business. You don't have to take away everything. It's like the supermarket. The supermarket doesn't go deep on one product. Hey, on Monday, Publix is only going to be selling tacos. No, they sell everything. They let you choose what you want. And so we're the supermarket approach. You come to one of our conferences, you're going to leave satisfied.
You're going to take away something that you can implement and either make more money or be more profitable.
100%.
Love it. So could you, from like the lessons and experience that you have, can you share a memorable success story that you overcame that really holds a valuable lesson for the attorneys in the audience listening?
Yeah, I mean, I think the lesson that I love to tell is of my first client. When I started working with my first client, she had been in business for about probably 8 years. I'd never generated revenues greater than $700,000. And we came into the business, and we immediately had diagnosed that there were some things being done that were causing some constraints. One of those constraints was that even though she did not have an hourly firm, she required every single employee to write down exactly what they were doing minute by minute. And so every employee in the firm was writing down what they were doing minute by minute. She thought that made people more accountable and gave them and created more production. That's what she said. I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. That's a terrible idea. You need to get rid of that immediately, and you're going to see your business skyrocket. And believe it or not, she got rid of that. She listened, and production increased, and the rest is history. 1 year later, the firm did $2.4 million. And now it's one of our top firms in an 8-figure firm. And so I love that story because a lot of times when people want to grow, they immediately say, I need to spend more money. I need to spend more money by hiring better people. I need to spend more money by doing more marketing. And those things are true. Like, you have to do those things. But sometimes you're the roadblock. Like, leaders and owners are more problematic than any of their employees. I've always said that before you start calling everyone else in your business toxic, look in the mirror and ask yourself if you're the ringleader for that toxicity club.
Love it. Great stuff. So you may have already answered this somewhat, but what do you think the most significant trends are in the industry over the past few years? And then the follow-up question is, where do you see it going in the next couple of years?
I mean, just industry-wide, I think social media is really dominating marketing for younger lawyers. I have 2 lawyers right off the top of my head, both personal injury lawyers, who are significantly present on social media and in the community, and they're finding great success. One of them just, I think, is going to reach $10 million in revenue this year with a primarily social media marketing campaign. The other one is just getting started. I met him about 3 years ago when he was brand new, went out solo. He's also getting a lot of success, probably about a $4 to $5 million firm on social media. I think younger lawyers who are savvy on social media, who are skilled at boosting the post when it matters, creating engaging content and not boring legal stuff. I think that's taking a lot of a stronghold from other people. You know, I used to tell people in my firm, our greatest threat is not the biggest firms in the country. That's not our greatest threat. Our greatest threat is having 10, 15 of our lawyers leave and use social media to get 10 or 15 cases, right? 15 lawyers who get 10 cases per month take away 150 cases from you every single month. Like, that's a bigger threat. And so I think the trend is to use social media to captivate people and to bring in cases. Now, it's not the only thing you should do. I don't want anybody to hear that and go, I heard that there was a $10 million firm just using Instagram. That works for some people. That's the trend that you should really watch and follow, because there are people out there doing it. But I don't think that you should just abandon everything else just to go on social media. But I believe that in the next 5 to 7 years, there's going to be a group of lawyers who really embraced social media and really did it the right way that are going to see huge dividends play out. The next thing is, I actually believe that there's a revival in SEO. I think that people thought that SEO was going to die just like the email, and I don't think the email's dead, and I don't think SEO is dead. I think there's a lot of space still for both email and the digital world. And I'm seeing, at least with our firms, mainly because we're recommending it, is people investing more on their online brand and getting reviews and using SEO and pay-per-click to get the results that they want. And so I think that that's going to continue to happen. I think it's going to become more competitive in the digital space, and I think that that's going to it's going to yield a lot of success for a lot of firms.
Sure, and part of that is the evolving customer journey that we're dealing with. So they see you on social media, then they might do a search specific for your name where they're going to see reviews, or they may actually start with, best car accident attorney near me, and then see you, and then also happen to check out your social media. So the customer journey is all over the map today. And the idea is to try to capture as many of those people in some part of their journey with multiple touch points is really what you're describing.
Yeah, I think people have in the past, there's two groups. Well, there's 3 groups of people who have used social media in the past. There's those who thought it should be free or cheap because they're accustomed to being able to post whatever they want without spending money. Like, that's not successful. You gotta spend money on social media if you want to be successful. The second group of social media is the ones that just completely say it doesn't work. And for those people, I tell them, explain to me how we have so many lawyers who work with 8-figure firm who hired us because of a social media ad, but your clients are too sophisticated to hire you from social media. Okay, got it. You're either unsophisticated and hired through social media, or you're sophisticated and hired through social media. Like you got to make up your mind, right? So that's the second group of lawyers. And then the third group of lawyers is the ones that are really embracing it. I mean, I have firms who are just spending a ton of money on content creation in the organic realms, but they're also spending $50,000, $60,000 on Meta alone. And they're seeing huge results. Now, I will acknowledge that the lead quantity and volume from social media tends to be much higher with a lower return. But if I have a firm that spends $50,000 a month on Meta and gets 1,000 leads and it converts 100, that's still a great return on investment, even if the conversion rate is abysmal. And so you really gotta think about the return on investment overall, not just the conversion rate when it comes to social media as well.
100%. And then the other factor for that is if those 100 conversions turn into advocates for you, they make referrals for you sometime in the future, and there's no cost for that at all.
And that's, in my book, The King of Growth, the second edition is coming out next month. I talk about this depth strategy, the lifetime value of the client. Even if you're in a business that doesn't have repeatable business, meaning the client will only hire you one time in their lifetime, the lifetime value of the client has to contemplate the referrals that you'll generate from that client.
That's right. So do you have any additional nuggets of wisdom or insight for aspiring professionals? You talked about talking with people who are just really starting out. Do you have anything for them that can help get them to the next level quickly?
I think you really want to start on your grassroots efforts, and you want to create more intensity than you're doing right now. I always say that acceleration, the formula for acceleration is motion plus intensity. And a lot of people are consistent, but they don't have a lot of intensity with what they do. And so you have to, if you're going to network a lot. If you're going to ask for referrals a lot. If you're going to email, send a lot of emails, right? Like increase the intensity of what you're doing. I remember when I launched the Scott Law Firm, in the very first month, I signed 25 people. Now, I may not have slept a lot, but that was my very first month in business with a $5,000 spend. I signed 25 people, but I went to every networking opportunity that imaginable. Like I joined the Rotary Club, the BNI. I went to a mixer. I went to like a casino night at some event. I went to my banker, my butcher, the candlestick maker. Like everybody who had a pulse was going to hear about me launching my firm. And that propelled me. 5 months later, I had signed over 100 people and was already on a 7-figure run rate. Because of that level of intensity. I don't know if that was going to be sustainable for a year, but hopefully your revenue catches up and you don't have to do it for a year. But you want to increase the intensity. So if you are starting off and you're really trying to figure out how do I go to the next level, whatever you're doing, you want to 5X that or more.
Amplify it. So interesting. That's how I really grew our business. Same thing. And at every BNI, every breakfast, every cocktail party, every Chamber of Commerce function, I was there. So that's the way to do it. So moving on to what we're going to call our lightning round. And this is where people get to know, like, and trust you. And they're just really some very quick, short questions that I'm going to fire off at you. So what never fails to make you laugh?
Oh my gosh. The Office. I love The Office. Yeah.
So funny. I sometimes introduce myself as Michael Scott. That's so funny. Best compliment you ever got?
You changed my life. I as somebody who wants to lead a life of significance, man, that just melts my heart when somebody tells me that.
Love it. Good stuff. Person you trade places with for a day?
I don't know if I trade places with anybody for a day. I mean, it would be cool to like have be able to experience what it's like to be a Hall of Fame caliber MLB player. So that would have been cool. Maybe see what
all right. Guilty pleasure?
Yeah, guilty pleasure. Oh man, I don't have any guilt in my pleasures. No.
It's a cheat day.
That's what I was gonna go to. My guilty pleasure is probably like overindulging on a like large pepperoni pizza. By the way, that just made me super hungry. Like, be my guilty pleasure. I try not to. I haven't had pizza like in 2 weeks now, so I probably need to do it this weekend.
Sounds like it's coming, right? So, biggest risk you ever took?
I think the biggest risk I ever took was starting my law firm on my own. I think that was a huge risk. It was a risk because I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a lawyer, and so starting a law firm didn't feel like the right thing, but it turned out to be the right thing for me.
Sure sounds like it, right? So, worst piece of advice you ever got?
The worst piece of advice is that everything's going to be okay. I don't think that helps people. I think it just frustrates them. Everything's going to be okay, but you have to take action.
So well said. What do you wish you were better at dealing with?
Believe it or not, I have, in the moment when I'm faced with adversity, my initial reaction is not always to be the most positive person. So I wish I would be positive from the onset. I've met people who in the midst of adversity are just smiling. I end up figuring out a solution and then smile. I wish I would smile on the front end.
Right. That's that Jacko. You hear him say, that's good. Yeah. That's good, right? It is good. So, what is the one thing that you would like to change about yourself?
I'd probably like to see myself believe more in my ability. I would. And I that's a weird thing to admit. A lot of my friends and family think I'm like the most like confident person in the world. But I know what I live with every day. And so I wish I believed in myself a little bit more, to be honest.
You got this, man. What are you most passionate about?
I love helping people, specifically when they can't pay me for what I've done for them.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Tell us something that most people don't know about you.
I feel like after, I got divorced many years ago, but I went through this process of like becoming more transparent. And so I sometimes wonder, do people not know certain things about me? But I'd say one thing that people don't know about me is that I secretly look forward to the day of moving back to Puerto Rico. That's something that I talk to people about a lot, but I think that I could see myself moving to Puerto Rico full time one day.
Multiple residences, right? So,
yeah.
Why not? So that's a wrap for today. I want to thank our guest, Louise Scott. It's been great having you. Wonderful advice and great stories. We really appreciate your time today. It's Josh Konigsberg signing off from the Behind the Bench podcast for lawyers. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to another fabulous episode of Behind the Bench. I hope you take action on some insight and tips you learned today. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and share.